Now, live on WPRI 12 and on WPRI.com. This is Eyewitness News this morning. Coverage you can count on.
6 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. New details on the second homicide of the year in the capital city. Now we've learned a baby was found unharmed at the crime scene.
Also ahead, Governor Raimondo addresses the state last night on her plans for Rhode Island's future. As she's headed into her second term, we're going to break down some of the key points of that address.
Good morning, Wednesday, January the 16th. I'm Patrick Little.
And I'm Danielle North. We want to check in with Michelle now for a look at your forecast today. We're not looking too bad overall.
Highs near 40, dry skies and sunshine. That's a winning combination for a mid-January day.
Top story this hour, details on a deadly stabbing in the capital city. Police now identifying the suspect in the second homicide of the year ahead of his arraignment today.
And we've also learned that an 8-month-old baby was inside of that River Avenue home at the time of the crime. Eyewitness News reporter Alexandra Leslie is live in studio with the story that's new this morning.
Well, police tell us the 8-month-old was the child of the victim and the suspect and was not harmed. Police say 34-year-old Luis Mota turned himself in, saying he stabbed 33-year-old Rachel Rainey to death. Now, Police Chief Colonel Hugh Clemens said that Rainey was in an estranged relationship with Mota and she had a restraining order against him. We don't yet know when that restraining order was filed or why. After police learned at least one child was involved, the Department of Children, Youth and Families was called in. The baby was taken to the hospital and police say they're doing fine. Now, in the city's second homicide of the year, police say Mota walked into the department asking to speak to detectives.
Over the years, we've had these where people walk in and announce that they've committed a crime for whatever reason, and we immediately react to it. And sure enough, we did this time, and we find a horrific, quite apparent domestic homicide scene.
And Mota remained in custody last night. He's expected to be arraigned on a murder charge at district court later this morning. Reporting live in studio, I'm Alexandra Leslie, Eyewitness News.
Right now, crews still investigating how a fire broke out at Hasbro Children's Hospital late last night. Officials say a child who is the brother of a patient spotted the flames on the third-floor roof around 8 o'clock last night. When crews arrived on the scene, they took down the flame in just 10 minutes. Hasbro officials thanking the boy behind ending what could have been a lot worse.
He's a superhero. We always talk about the superheroes at Hasbro Children's Hospital. He really is a superhero. I guess he was looking out the window and said, "Mom, there's a fire." And she, I guess, believed him and told staff. And staff called the Providence Fire Department immediately.
Thankfully, nobody was injured. The patient care was not interrupted. Officials say work was being done on the roof earlier in the day. It's unclear if that played a role in the fire.
Looking ahead now to later this morning when the state's Department of Children, Youth and Families is set to hold a news conference to address the recent death of a 9-year-old girl from Warwick. As we've been reporting, the 9-year-old was reportedly living in deplorable conditions while under the care of 55-year-old Michelle Rothgeb. Rothgeb was arraigned Monday on a charge of cruelty or neglect of a child. She was reportedly caring for 8 special needs children whom she had adopted. The remaining children are in DCYF custody.
Governor Gina Raimondo delivering her annual State of the State address on Smith Hill last night.
The state of our state is strong. It is much stronger than it was 4 years ago, and our future depends on the decisions that we make today together.
Also in her address last night, the governor laid out an ambitious set of plans for the next 4 years.
An area she says she's very focused on education. And we're talking about all levels from preschool right through college. And Eyewitness News reporter Julianne Lima is joining us now with the details.
Well, as the governor begins her second term in office, she touted many of her accomplishments when it comes to education, such as starting the free college tuition program at CCRI 2 years ago to making significant headway in school repairs. However, she didn't shy away from discussing the areas that also need some work.
When we talk about our future, nothing's more important than our children. Those recent test scores are not acceptable, not good enough for our kids. We have lagged behind our neighbors for far too long.
The need to catch up to neighboring states like Massachusetts was a common theme in the governor's speech. In an effort to improve education, Raimondo vowed to make pre-K classes available to all 4-year-olds before she leaves office. She also wants to invest an additional $30 million in local schools and expand the Rhode Island Promise tuition program. It's currently limited to CCRI, but Raimondo wants to make the final 2 years at Rhode Island College free and ultimately do the same for URI. While lawmakers applauded these goals, many are concerned about how they'll be funded.
If any of you were doing math while the governor was compiling her agenda proposals, and I liked every one of them, but the money's coming from somewhere, so you got to assess where the pain is before you can look to go forward.
Now, it's worth noting some of these goals, such as expanding the free college tuition program and universal pre-K, are goals that Raimondo hopes to accomplish over her full term the next 4 years, not just over the next 1 year with this new budget, which she plans to submit to lawmakers tomorrow. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Julianne Lima, Eyewitness News.
It is 6:06. We want to bring you the latest now on the government shutdown. Heading into its 26th day, the White House is now asking 50,000 federal workers who are being furloughed to come back to work. However, the employees still will not be getting paid. Those employees are involved with everything from processing tax returns to inspecting food and medicine.
6:07, more coverage you can count on coming up on Eyewitness News.
Local district fire chief facing OUI charges after state police say he led them on a highway pursuit. We'll tell you how it ended.
And test to verify election results and avoid mistakes. Find out how Rhode Island is playing it safe when we come back.
Well, your time now on a Wednesday morning is 6:10. It's a chilly start to the day. Our temperatures are in the teens and 20s, but dry skies, as you can see here from our hurricane barrier camera. If you're headed up to Boston this morning, starting off their morning at 26 degrees, but we're even colder in Providence at 20, New Bedford.
A Fall River District fire chief facing OUI charges after Massachusetts State Police say led them on a high-speed chase. Police say Ambrose Smith, driving with 3 flat tires, refused to stop for troopers Friday morning, prompting a brief pursuit on 195 in Dartmouth. Fall River's fire chief says Smith is currently taking some personal time, but he has not formally been disciplined.
Eyewitness News is your local election headquarters. Although the 2020 election is still some time away now, Rhode Island is starting to test its new election security to verify results. Today, the Board of Elections will be conducting 3 pilot risk-limiting audits, specifically double-checking the count of votes, correcting errors of a wrong result as well. The Ocean State is the second state to require verification after it was passed by the General Assembly in 2017.
6:11, more local coverage coming up on Eyewitness News this morning.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Massachusetts woman says she's getting a raw deal after she alleges she got a ticket for honking her car horn at a cop but didn't know who it was at the time.
Plus, champs, the Red Sox headed to Washington, D.C. We'll let you know when they'll be visiting the White House after the break.
You're watching Eyewitness News on this Wednesday morning. We'll be right back.
Now, more local coverage. This is Eyewitness News on WPRI 12.
As we cover New England, a woman says she is furious. She lives in Massachusetts, and she was ticketed in Auburn simply for honking at a cop who was undercover. So here's what happened. The officer was in an unmarked SUV. He peeled out in front of her, and she had to swerve to avoid him. The woman says she then leaned on her horn, not realizing who he was or that her Prius would trigger such a noisy dust-up.
I had to swerve around him. Why wouldn't I get angry? And then to get pulled over and get a citation for that action is completely infuriating.
Well, the officer was pursuing another car at the time, but wound up writing Kelly a rare noise ticket for excessive and unnecessary use of her horn. Kelly, who works for the state, says she has the utmost respect for police and denies any disrespect. Police say the officer ticketed her using his professional discretion. She is vowing to fight the ticket all the way until the end.
World champion Red Sox head to the White House, and we now know when that will be happening. A spokesperson for the club confirmed President Trump will welcome the team February 15th in Washington, D.C. That's 3 days before the team's first full squad workout down in Florida at spring training. Red Sox won their 4th World Series title in 15 seasons when they beat the Dodgers 4 games to 1. That was back in October. I have spring on my mind, and I'm just trying to do the quick math in my head, which is why I'm stumbling and fumbling all over myself. So I think it's approximately about 65 days or so until spring, Michelle, and it feels like we really even haven't had winter yet. So what's the rest of this week looking like?
Now, Eyewitness Sports with Yanni Caracas.
Good morning, everybody. A big one for the PC Friars last night at the Dunk. See, Saturday's overtime loss to Georgetown as tough as a regular season defeat Ed Cooley's experienced while at Providence. And I'll be there with coverage beginning on Friday. That's your sports. I'm Yanni Caracas. Have a great day, everybody.
6:22 when we come back on Eyewitness News this morning.
Netflix customers, get ready to pay more for your shows. Those details next in your Money Matters report.
And an iconic retailer filing for bankruptcy for the second time. We'll explain more about what's happening with Gymboree.
You're watching Eyewitness News on WPRI 12. It's coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. 6:25 is your time, and here is your Money Matters report. Netflix is going to be raising its prices again.
Subscribers in the U.S. about to see a price hike across all subscription tiers. Service's most popular plan going up to $13 per month for HD streaming. Netflix's premium plan raising the prices to $16 a month. The service's basic plan, which doesn't offer HD, is now $9. According to Netflix CEO Reed Hastings, price hikes will go towards investments in more original series and licensing popular programming. Facebook says it will invest $300 million in local news over the next 3 years. The money will go to supporting journalists and newsrooms in the news gathering process. Facebook said the decision came after its users said they wanted to see more local news on their Facebook feeds.
Children's clothing store Gymboree is expected to file for the second bankruptcy in just 2 years. According to the Wall Street Journal, the chain's expected to close all 900 of its stores. The expected bankruptcy comes less than 2 years after the retailer's first stint in bankruptcy court, when it closed a portion of its stores when lenders were taking control of the business.
Time to let you know which local companies are now hiring. Eyewitness News teaming up with the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training. Every morning we tell you about a new local job opening here on Eyewitness News. This morning, Providence School Department looking to hire a communications associate. For more information, go to employri.org. That job number is 823-726, or go to our website, WPRI.com. Just click on Call for Action, then the job finder. Almost 6:30, more local coverage coming up on Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News political analyst Joe Fleming is in studio. He's going to be breaking down the governor's State of the State address for you.
Plus, new at 6:30, big game, of course, this weekend for the Patriots. One diehard Chiefs fan is in enemy territory, but he doesn't let that get in the way of his high hopes. Stay with us for that story.
Good morning, I'm Mike Montecalvo. Coming up tonight on Eyewitness News, the governor looking to spend millions more on education in the state, including some free tuition at Rhode Island College. We're going to get new reaction on her State of the State address tonight on Eyewitness News.
Now, live on WPRI 12 and on WPRI.com. This is Eyewitness News this morning. Coverage you can count on.
Governor Raimondo speaking about the future she sees for the Ocean State. Will highlight some of her major points.
Go Chiefs! Go Patriots! Go Chiefs! Go Patriots!
Yeah, Chiefs super fan with no shame wearing his jersey in enemy territory at school. You're going to hear more from him coming up in just a few minutes. Good morning. It's Wednesday, January the 16th. And look at the scene behind us right here, right?
Yeah, that's North Kingstown. Our camera down there. Good morning, I'm Patrick Little. Sun coming up, and it's a chilly start once again, but that is certainly a nice sight to see behind us. Here's Michelle with a look at the forecast for the day ahead.
Hey, you know, we have another
topic our news this half hour. Governor Raimondo lays out an ambitious list of goals for her second term in last night's State of the State address. Here's a look at some of the proposals she says will be included in the budget that she's submitting to lawmakers tomorrow, including an expansion of the state's job training program.
Governor also promised a cut in car taxes and an additional $30 million in school funding.
Also, she wants to have universal pre-K across the state before she leaves office, and is also calling for the state's free tuition program to be expanded to include Rhode Island College.
While Governor Raimondo used her speech last night to drive the point home on the importance of education, she also covered a variety of other topics, from gun control to also minimum wage.
And Julianne Lima is live in the newsroom with those details.
Well, Danielle and Patrick, on January 1st, the minimum wage in Rhode Island went up 40 cents an hour to $10.50. And now the governor wants to raise it again to $11.10 an hour. She says this would put the state on track to ultimately reach a minimum wage of $15 an hour. She also plans to pass legislation this year to protect the Affordable Care Act, which 100,000 Rhode Islanders rely on. In addition to the education reform we discussed at the top of the hour, the governor also wants to include funding in her budget to provide mental health training to educators to support this next generation of students. She also says she wants to expand gun laws to make schools safer. Last year, state lawmakers passed a red flag law and banned bump stocks, but Raimondo wants to take it a step further this year.
The sad reality is that our kids are growing up in a country where they worry about guns in their schools. This year, let's ban guns in schools, and let's ban military-style weapons in the state of Rhode Island.
Now, one thing the governor did not discuss last night, her proposal to legalize recreational marijuana in Rhode Island. Her aides tell us that's because it's not one of her priorities. She didn't want to highlight the proposal because she sees it as something Rhode Island is being forced to do due to legalization in neighboring states. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Julianne Lima, Eyewitness News.
It is 6:34. Our in-depth coverage of the governor's State of the State address continues. Joining us live in studio, our Eyewitness News political analyst, Joe Fleming. Good morning to you, Joe. We know you watched it live last night. There's a lot to go through with the speech, but let's first begin with just the long list of things that she wants to get done. And when you're looking at that list, you know, we heard from Speaker Mattiello saying, hey, I like all of the ideas. Where are we going to get the money? And also, will there be cooperation from lawmakers?
I think you're correct, Danielle. Where is the money coming from? Right now, we do not know. She's talking about spending an awful lot of money, but she hasn't released the budget yet, which is going to be released tomorrow. That is when we're going to find out where the money's coming from. Is she going to raise taxes? Does she expect the sales tax, the income tax to generate a lot more money to pay for these programs? Where is it coming from? And that's what the General Assembly is going to look at. If the money's not there, they can't do these programs.
And, you know, you and I were talking off camera that you don't expect to see any new taxes, but we also are facing a pretty hefty deficit, somewhere in the, what, 160 million?
Correct.
So you got to offset that, too. So this is going to be an interesting budget here.
Yes, it definitely is. And again, I'm assuming they're expecting an increase in the state income tax in the sense of the economy is going well. It's going to generate more money. Same thing with the sales tax. But at the same time, the General Assembly is going to look closely at these programs, like the Promise program. Is there CCRI? Will they have the money to expand it to RIC? You know, $30 million for education, that's a great thing. I think a lot of people will probably push for that. The question is, are the resources there for it?
Yeah, you know, we talk about, you know, education being one of her top priorities, obviously a major theme throughout her speech last night. Universal pre-K is something that we really haven't heard too much about until this week.
Right. This is a new program she wants to put in there. She wants to do it gradually over 4 or 5 years to slowly bring in anybody who wants to have their 4-year old go to pre-K will be allowed to. But again, what is the cost of this program down the road? Every year the car tax is going down. That's costing the state more money. Where is all this money going to come from?
Yeah, and it's interesting that she chose not to talk about marijuana, legalizing marijuana in Rhode Island in her address last night, saying it's not a priority, but that would obviously be a source of revenue here in the state.
It's not going to be a big source. They're talking about $6.5 million for that. Another source of revenue could be the legalized gambling online. If that goes through, that's going to generate more money. So they're looking for all different sorts of ways to generate money in the state of Rhode Island to pay for these programs. We're going to have to wait till the budget comes out to actually find out if the resources are there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high interest level in seeing the budget this time around and see how this is all going to work out. All right. And if you missed the governor's address, Joe didn't, I didn't, but you can watch it on our website right now. We posted it in its entirety at WPRI.com.
More coverage you can count on coming up on Eyewitness News. New York Senator announces she's going to file an exploratory committee for the 2020 presidential race. We'll hear from her after the break. Florida school shooting suspect Nikolas Cruz heading back to court today. The hearing is set for a defense attempt to prevent further contact between Cruz and a corrections officer he's accused of assaulting in November. In a hearing yesterday, his defense team asked for more time to review evidence from the state's commission's investigation from last year's Valentine's Day massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Cruz could get the death penalty if convicted in the shooting deaths of those 17 people.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is the latest Democrat to join a growing field of 2020 presidential candidates.
I'm filing an exploratory committee for President of the United States tonight. As a young mom, I'm going to fight for other people's kids as hard as I would fight for my own.
And the 52-year-old made her announcement last night on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Gillibrand was appointed to serve out the rest of Hillary Clinton's term in 2009 when she became Secretary of State. 6 other Democrats have already announced their presidential bids, including Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. When we come back here on Eyewitness News on this Wednesday morning.
After the break, a new pot shop plan could replace a vacant movie theater in Seekonk. We have those details when we come back.
Eyewitness News on WPRI 12 continues.
New this morning, a businessman is seeking to open a pot processing plant in Seekonk in place of a vacant Showcase Cinema.
All right, the current owner of the property, though, has other plans to build an apartment complex on that site. It's not currently zoned for that, though. So the new pot shop proposal is the second option for the cinema site.
Eyewitness News reporter Alexander Leslie here now with more about how residents feel about this proposal.
Well, no movies have played at the Showcase Cinema on Seekonk for almost 9 years. The latest property owner says the estimated tax revenue, though, for a pot plant proposal could bring in millions for the town. Now, the current property owner, who said last fall he wanted to build a 102-unit apartment complex, says the revenue from the apartments would be around $275,000. But if it were to be a pot processing plant, he estimates around $6 million in tax revenue for the town. Recently, Seekonk residents voted to establish a medical and recreational marijuana district in the industrial area near the Seekonk Speedway. But another vote would be needed to extend that district to include the Showcase. Some residents we spoke to say they'll need to hear more details before they can say one option or the other.
As long as they run everything through town council and have people, the community has a word, I think that's really important. I don't know what it's going to do about traffic and things like that. I think that makes a difference as well. But if it's going to improve the quality of life of the community, then I'm in support of it. But if it's not, and as long as we have a say, I think that's what's really important.
And residents will get that chance. Right now, the cinema site is not zoned for either proposal. A public hearing will be held Tuesday, followed by a vote the week after that to potentially approve a zoning change. Reporting live in studio, I'm Alexandra Leslie, Eyewitness News.
6:45 now on a Wednesday morning. Michelle's back in with a look at your pinpoint weather and traffic together. Kind of quiet out there today, but then things start to get interesting around here not too far from now.
Yeah,
It is 6:50. Time for a quick check of what's coming up today on the Road Show. Staying healthy with Wellness Week. We're going to check out some yoga moves to stay zen through 2019. I don't know why I said it like that, but zen is fun, right? Before you take the new job this year, consider your health. We're going to check out ways to navigate insurance coverage in the workplace. That's all coming up on the Road Show. It starts at 9 on WPRI 12. What was that move again, Pat? Practicing zen
I'm not sure if this is what you're supposed to do, but it feels right.
It does.
In this
moment.
It
looks right, too. Still ahead on Eyewitness News when we come back. We'll recap your top stories, including more on a fire last night at Hasbro Children's Hospital. Plus,
because I'm like the only one who likes the Chiefs and everybody else likes Patriots.
Not always fair to be singled out in school, but some just bring it upon themselves. A Chiefs fan in Patriots territory. We'll hear from him when we come back.
The Stock Report is brought to you by White Cross Pharmacy. Local pharmacists, local people, delivering the med pack free to your door.
Wednesday morning, it is 6:54. We want to recap some of your top stories. A man accused of killing his estranged girlfriend is going to be in court today.
Police say 34-year-old Luis Mata turned himself in yesterday after 33-year-old Rachel Renee was found stabbed to death inside a home on River Avenue in Providence. Officials say the couple's 8-month-old baby was home at the time but was not injured. The child is now in DCYF custody. This is the capital city's second homicide of the year.
Firefighters made quick work of a fire at Hasbro Children's Hospital last night. Officials say a patient's little brother was the one that spotted the flames on the third-floor roof and quickly told his mother about it. Fire crews had the fire out in about 10 minutes or so. No one was hurt and patient care was not impacted. Investigators will be searching for the specific cause today.
Education, the major theme of Governor Raimondo's State of the State address last night. She announced an additional $30 million in school funding as well as plans for universal pre-K and expanding the state's free tuition program to include Rhode Island College. Governor also called for a cut in the car tax and an increase in the minimum wage. You can watch the entire speech right now on our website, WPRI.com.
White House trying to limit the effects of the now 26-day-old partial government shutdown. Almost 50,000 furloughed federal workers are being told to return to their jobs, though they still will not be getting paid. Many of the employees that are being recalled to work involve processing tax returns, inspecting food and medicine, and airport safety.
Finally this morning, a young Winchester, Massachusetts boy is all in. He's showing off his Kansas City Chiefs pride this week. It's a tough place to be doing this, right? 10-year-old Christopher Sprague here, no shame, wearing all red, white, and yellow on the playground of his elementary school, or what he calls enemy territory.
I think the Patriots are going to crush the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs are going to destroy the Patriots. Are you sure about that? And leave no survivors.
You can't blame Christopher because of his powerful allies. Both his mom and dad are major fans this week. Christopher wearing his jersey every day to school for good luck.
That should be interesting on Monday morning when those kids go back. Actually, they won't have school Monday. Tuesday when they go back to class,
Might
right?
be a good thing that they have Monday off,
Yeah,
right?
they get a little
cooling off
breathing room.
period.
There you go. As we take a look at our 7-day forecast, we're chilly this morning. Highs near 40 this afternoon, a little breezy. Cold day tomorrow, near 30 degrees. Light snow and rain Friday morning. Saturday is dry. All eyes on Sunday. That storm, again, still looking significant and a messy mix for us. Snow, ice, rain, all in the forecast right now for that Sunday storm.
I was looking also at the Kansas City television website for their forecast for Sunday. I think it went up like 1 degree.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be comfortable out there watching it. Much better to be watching it here in New England from the warmth of your home, I think.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Michelle.
And that's going to do it for us here at Eyewitness News this morning. Your local news will continue on Fox Providence at 7 a.m.